Hello, everybody, and welcome on in. We have 13 games to go over today for the Week 8 slate of the NFL season. But before we do want to quickly say if you're new, subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. Leave a like and let me know your thoughts down below on the week. Now let's get right into it. We begin with Thursday Night Football as it's the Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 3-point favorites in this game, and the Chargers are wearing their supercharger throwbacks going back to the early 2000s and late 90s with these. And I think they're going to look pretty good on the field. As terms of the actual style of play, the Chargers are looking to bounce back after a pretty tough loss to the Colts last week. The good news, they're going against Carson Wentz. He's in line to start this week, and he played fine against the Eagles the last week for the Vikings, but I still don't know really how much he's going to impact this offense. The past really 2-3 weeks of Vikings football with Wentz behind center have looked pretty rough, and really this Vikings team as a whole has looked rough. So even with all the injuries of the Chargers, including, Amarian Hampton and Najee Harris, I am going to pick the Chargers to win this game. It was mainly just two costly mistakes that cost the Chargers against the Colts, but those are mistakes that I feel like you can make against the Vikings and still be able to get away with it pretty easily. The Chargers are a team that looking to bounce back, still fighting for that top spot in the AFC West. I think they're going to be just fine and get that nice bounce back win on this short week where they don't need to travel, but the Vikings do. So I do have the Chargers winning. To begin the Sunday slate, we're ripping the band-aid off early as the Miami Dolphins are traveling to play the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 7.5-point favorites in this one. And Miami finds themselves in a pretty similar spot to what they found themselves in 2021. In 2021, Miami was 1-7, entering a matchup against a team in the South Divisions, and followed it up by a home matchup against Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. This season, Miami is 1-6, with a matchup against a South Divisional foe, preceded by a home matchup against Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. In 2021, Miami was able to win those games and go on to win 7 straight and kind of salvage a lost season. Miami's looking to do the same thing here. The difference is in 2021, they played the Houston Texans, and in this year, they played the Atlanta Falcons and Bijan Robinson. I'm expecting him to have a monster game against his terrible Miami run defense. It is the worst run defense in the NFL. But Miami's pass defense sits around 20th, so it's better than nothing. And this Atlanta Falcons pass and offense is very hit or miss. That could be the area Miami takes advantage of. Question of if they will be answered on Sunday. But for me, I do have the Miami Dolphins winning this game. I'm going to be watching the game on Sunday like I have the previous 7 games, hoping for Miami to win. Because at the end of the day, I do still want to see this team win, even though the better outcome probably would be a loss, but I do still have hope in this Miami team to right that ship the same way that they did in 2021, though it is definitely a lot less likely for it to happen this year. Nonetheless, give me the Miami Dolphins. The New York Jets are traveling to the Cincinnati Bengals this week, where the Bengals are 6.5-point favorites in this game. And the Jets are going to have a QB decision, but they kind of might be forced still in their hand as Tyrod Taylor is day-to-day with a knee injury, so it still might be Justin Fields. Either way, it does not change what I think of this outcome of the game. The Bengals are coming off of a 10 days rest after playing a fantastic offensive game against the Steelers. Joe Flacco was looking like he was back in his prime against that Tomlin defense, a defense that he knows a lot, comparing it to an Aaron Glenn-led defense where he doesn't know as much. But still, it's the Bengals. Their defense will be able to do enough against a really, really bad Jets offense. And the Bengals offense should be able to do enough against this Jets defense. It is still Jamar Chase. It is still Chase Brown. It is still T. Higgins. The core is still there. I do have the Bengals winning this game. But the main question is, are the Jets going to be competitive enough to where they might be able to make this game close? 6.5 points kind of feels like a lot, but the Jets are a team this year that have really struggled to get pretty much anything going consistently. Against a Bengals defense, they should be able to look competent, but we will see with the Jets. Nonetheless, I do have the Bengals winning. The Cleveland Browns are traveling to the New England Patriots this week, with the Patriots being 7-point favorites. Patriots coming off of a pretty nice win against the Titans last week. A game that entering the half, was pretty competitive, but then they really ran away with it. Cleveland, they dominated last week in a very stormy win against the Miami Dolphins, in a game that which Quinshon Judkins finally had a true breakout game with 3 touchdowns on that one. But this New England defense and New England team as a whole is a lot better than what Miami is this season. So Cleveland is going to have this matchup pretty much be it's going to be Cleveland's going to have their hands full. Cleveland's going to have their hands full. I do have the New England Patriots winning this game. I have really liked what we've seen out of Drake May this season and that pairing of him and Josh McDaniels. It has been a great QB OC pairing, pretty similar to what we saw with Mac Jones and Josh McDaniels a few years ago. Nonetheless, though, I do feel like this Patriots team is one that is going to be able to seize the opportunity and come away with a nice win and keep that hold in the division. The New York Giants are traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles this week, and the Eagles are 7-point favorites. And this matchup happened simply 2 weeks ago, and we know what the outcome of that matchup was. But I do feel like there's going to be some differences here between that previous one and this one. For starters, the Eagles finally had a really good passing game going last week against the Vikings. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts finally had that good connection going. Same with Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts. The defense for Philly has always been a solid unit this season. The main question is, can that ground game get something going against this Giants defense? The Giants are coming off of a very bad loss against Denver where they gave up 33 points in a quarter. So that defense is in a pretty rough spot. But their offense has continued to look really good with Jackson Dart leading the way. Him and Cam Skattebo are one of the best young quarterback running back duos in the league. So this game's going to be really interesting. The 7-point spread, it feels like a lot based off what we saw 2 weeks ago, but the difference is that game was in New York, this one's in Philly. That game was on a short week, this game is on the standard week-long rest. So I do have the Eagles winning this game. I think that they're in a little bit of a better spot than what they were 2 weeks ago. Getting that win against the Vikings and the way they got that win is going to help out this team. Eventually that ground game will show up, and what better time to have it show up than in a revenge game against the Giants that beat you 2 weeks prior. I think Saquon Barkley will play definitely better in this game and get more chances, so I do have the Eagles winning. The Buffalo Bills at 7.5-point favorites are traveling to the Carolina Panthers this week. The Bills are coming off of their bye, and they're looking to bounce back after entering the bye with back-to-back pretty tough losses to New England and Atlanta. This game is going to be a little bit interesting. The Carolina Panthers did get a win last week against the Jets, but it was a very, very ugly win. And in that win, Bryce Young went down, and he is going to miss this game. So it's Andy Dalton leading the way, and that definitely has a big impact in this one. I do still think that Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle can take advantage of a really bad run defense that the Bills have had this season. They are the third worst run defense in the league. So that's definitely an opportunity there for the Panthers offense to get something going. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen is not someone who likes to lose 3 straight. To be fair, no one is, but Josh Allen is going to have these Bills playing really well. The offense is going to get back on track. They had that week off for the bye. I think it came at the perfect time for Buffalo. That way they're able to stop the bleeding and right the ship and entered their second half of the season feeling a lot better. So I do have the Bills winning this game. I think it definitely could be a close one, maybe at first, but I am expecting Buffalo to kind of resurface as the Bills that we know they can be and be able to handle this game just fine. The Chicago Bears are traveling to the Baltimore Ravens this week, with the Ravens being 6.5-point favorites in this game. And that spread is pretty interesting to me. The Ravens are coming off of their bye week. Lamar Jackson did return to practice, and that is a very big sign for this Ravens offense, because when he is back, the offense is a whole of a lot better. The Chicago Bears are winners of their last 4, and they're playing really well. This game is interesting because of the fact that Lamar Jackson is going to be back in this game. At least that's the idea. I'm pretty sure he's going to be limited in his first day of practice, because coming off of that hamstring, you don't want to force it too much until game time. I do still have the Bears winning this game. It's not really because I feel like the Bears have been playing exceptionally these past 4 games. It's mainly against teams that they're expected to beat, like the Saints last week. And it was a game where they ran for 222 yards, so that's really impressive. But it's more so the fact that Baltimore, even with Lamar Jackson, was not playing the greatest this season. And now Lamar Jackson is coming back from a hamstring injury. It's going to be his first game back in 3 weeks. He's going to be a little bit rusty. I think by at least halftime, it was when we're going to see the second half is when we see Lamar Jackson kind of be fully back. But I don't think that this is really the week we're going to see Lamar Jackson truly hit it off. This Bears team, again, not a really exceptional team, but still a team that can take advantage of mistakes if given the opportunity to. So I do have the Bears winning. The San Francisco 49ers are traveling to the Houston Texans this week, with the Texans being 1.5 favorites in this one. Houston has been struggling pretty much all year, and I don't think it's getting any easier in a matchup against the 49ers. And yes, for all the injuries that the 49ers have, I have to give them a lot of credit. They've been able to play really well despite those, especially the injury to Fred Warner. They seem like they were just fine against Atlanta without him. Mac Jones has been playing exceptionally well, and CMC is still CMC. He is 8th in the league in receiving yards as a running back. He has been the main factor of this 49ers offense. As long as he's healthy, the 49ers are going to be just fine offensively. I do have them winning this game. Houston, for as much as I feel like they have talent on that roster, the offensive line is still a massive weak point, and they haven't been able to get it all together yet this season. And San Francisco, with all the holes they seemingly have due to injuries, they have been able to keep it together and keep that whole team together. So I think the 49ers will be able to handle this game just fine. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 4.5 point favorites as they travel to the New Orleans Saints this week. And 4.5 feels low. And I know that the Buccaneers are dealing with some injuries. Mike Evans is getting surgery to repair that collarbone. But at the same time, this is still the Buccaneers we're talking about. Yeah, Bucky Irvin and Chris Godwin are not expected to play in this game, but it's still the Buccaneers, and they're still going against the New Orleans Saints. The Buccaneers looking to bounce back after that very bad loss against the Lions last week. New Orleans had that loss against Chicago, but it is still New Orleans. Spencer Rattler has been playing fine this season, but he doesn't really feel like a franchise guy. And that defense is kind of just being left out there to dry. This is a Tampa team that's going to be playing angry, going to be playing fierce. It's a divisional matchup. I think Tampa is going to be really hitting the ground running in this game. I have the Buccaneers winning, and the Buccaneers are going to get right back on track with a little bit of a skid against one of the better teams in the league in the Lions. Now they're playing one of the worst teams in the Saints. I think they're going to get their mind right. This is a great time for a bounce back game. The Buccaneers are going to be just fine and get this win. What is potentially a game of the week option, but probably more so a secondary game of the week? It is the Dallas Cowboys traveling to the Denver Broncos, with the Broncos being 3.5 point favorites in this game. The Broncos are coming off of that really nice come from behind win against the Giants, 33 points in the fourth quarter to get that win. Bo Nix played well in that fourth, but the team as a whole played rough through 3 quarters, and that's going to be the main point of emphasis is, can they play a full 60? They're going against one of the worst overall defenses in the league in Dallas, but they're also going against one of the best overall offenses in the league in Dallas. So how is their defense going to hold up? Dre Greenlaw is going to be suspended for this game, so that's something to keep an eye on in this one. I do still feel like that Dallas defense is going to hold them back. I have the Broncos winning this game. It's in Denver. That Dallas defense is already a pretty rough defense. Going against a team like the Broncos, where at any given moment it feels they could have a breakaway play and get themselves right back into a game if they're down. I think Denver's going to be able to take advantage of it. J.K. Dobbins should be running well. Maybe this is the week that R.J. Harvey gets more involved. He did have a touchdown grab in the last game, and I'm very happy to see that. But nonetheless, I do have the Broncos winning this one. The Tennessee Titans are traveling to the Indianapolis Colts this week, with the Colts being 14.5 point favorites in this game. And that is the largest spread of the week. I think it's tied for the largest spread of the season. And this is going to be a pretty ugly game. For as much as I feel like Tennessee has a good foundation, it is still a foundation, and they have more work to do to really build that up and be a good team surrounding Cam Ward. He has been looking rough this season, but to be fair, so has really every piece of that Tennessee team. The Indianapolis Colts have been one of these surprise teams of the year. They have the best record entering this week, being the only team with one loss as they sit at 6-1. And this is one of those games where if it was any other year, I would say this is a trap game. But because of how efficient the Colts offense has been, I'm going to pick the Colts to win, and I think they're going to win pretty handedly. Tennessee's a team where last year I was thinking all they needed was a quarterback, and they were going to be just fine. They get that quarterback in the offseason, and if anything, it only showed more of the holes that this Titans team has. We're going to be interested to see how they look going forward and into the offseason, what they decide to do. Interim head coach Mike McCoy coached a pretty solid first half against the Patriots, but you're going to need a lot more than that be able to beat this Colts team. And I don't think the Titans have it in them. So give me the Colts. And now for the game of the week, Sunday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers, as 3.5-point favorites, are traveling to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Packers are wearing their all whites for this game. The Steelers are wearing their throwbacks from back to the 40s and 30s. This game is going to look very interesting on TV just based off the jersey matchup. But for actual play, there's definitely going to be some interesting parts to it. The main thing is the last time these two teams played back in 2023, it was a Steeler win and a very interesting Steeler win, mainly because of how Mike Tomlin and that defense played against Jordan Love. But since that game, Jordan Love has had over 2 years of reps as the starter for the Packers. As for the 2023 season was his first year as the starter. So I think Jordan Love is going to be more equipped for this Steelers defense, as well as just the weapons he has around him are going to be better than what he had in 2023. Aaron Rodgers looking for revenge. This is the first time he's playing the Packers, first time playing the Packers since leaving them in 2022, and this is going or in 2023, and this is going to be a very interesting matchup for Aaron Rodgers. Him on the other side of a legendary Packers Steelers game. Those games are always fantastic to watch, always legendary. I do have the Packers winning this game. And there was one very key stat I have not mentioned yet, and that is the Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1970. There's only been 6 meetings where they could have won, but still, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Even with that, I think the Packers have the team built this season, especially with Micah Parsons, that is going to be a really fun matchup, and they're going to be able to get away of Pittsburgh with the win. Going from one of the more interesting games to one of the less interesting games after the news that was announced, the Commanders are traveling to the Chiefs, with the Chiefs being 10.5-point favorites, and I wouldn't be surprised if that line has moved in more favor of the Chiefs since I last looked at these, because Jayden Daniels is out this week. Marcus Mariota is getting the start, and even with Jayden Daniels playing, I was already not that high on the Commanders in this game. From what we've seen of the Chiefs last week, it was a fantastic win against the Raiders. But even before that, it seems like the Chiefs are back. They got the pieces back in Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. They have their playmakers on offense again, and they're ready to surge back into the picture of the AFC. Meanwhile, Washington, it's been a rough year. Definitely not living up to the expectations after that fantastic season last year. But injuries and injuries and injuries. Jayden Daniels being out again after just coming back from an injury is something to be concerned about. I do have the Chiefs winning this game to get back on topic of the game. The Chiefs are going to handle this just fine. It's in Arrowhead, a very tough place to play, especially on prime time. I mean, I don't really see this game as being much of a contest, but we will see. The games are played for a reason, but I do have the Chiefs winning. Well, there you have it, my complete thoughts on all 13 games for Week 8. I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you are new, subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. Leave a like and let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.